last time I came out here was right before I had my psychotic break. So that's fun. Still feels super artificial. Still feels like, where's the nature? I like the other park a lot more. I do enjoy the sounds here. Now I can hear water, I can hear bugs, I can feel like if I close my eyes I'm near a normal stream or a waterfall or something. A really quiet waterfall. I don't know if you can hear me because it's kind of loud here and I'm kind of quiet. Birds chirping. I don't know what I'm recording for. I don't really have an idea for a video right now. I just kind of want to talk and kind of want to get shit off my chest. And the incarceration of Jalae Lain was an interesting experience. And it still is affecting me. I still feel like a lot of the stuff that I was thinking is true with paranoia about companies and capitalism. And I don't know how to resolve those differences, that paranoia. But I'm not manic about it right now. I don't think that there's anyone out there to get me specifically, but I feel like there are people out there to get my demographic, my people, as it were. On the questions, it asks you stuff like, what's your ethnicity? And I always put that I'm Native American and white because that's what I am. I don't look super Native American, I know, but I am. And I don't know where my dad is really from. The genetic testing shows Irish and Britain and Spain and Native American is where my roots are. But my culture was another question they asked. What culture are you? And to that I was like, American question mark? What is my culture? My culture is not the same culture as my parents' culture. I'm from the internet. I'm from anime and computer online culture. That's my culture. Trans culture, internet culture. I'm not American, really. American is part of my culture, but I lived in Ukraine for a lot of years, and I like how they do things there. I feel like I can be more freely myself there, in a lot of ways, because I have better access to the internet. Basement culture, maybe? What is my culture? And it made me go back and look at my Tumblr. Also, Twitter made me go back and look at my Tumblr because one of my Twitter and Discord friends, who's a YouTuber, Rizzy, if you're there, hi. Yeah, someone posted on their Twitter, "What's a woman?" And I had gone down this rabbit hole before on Tumblr. Stop focusing on other shit. I had gone down this rabbit hole before on Tumblr where I posted something trans related, and some rad femmes came on my Tumblr and were like, "What's a woman?" And I was like, well, here's this 6-paragraph answer on what I think a woman is, or what possible definitions there are for this answer, and they're like, this is the longest thing I've ever seen, like it's bullshit. And I'm like, well, what's your definition then? They're like, a female adult, a human of the female sex, who's an adult. And I'm like, well, that is definitely a definition of what is a woman. It certainly is one of the definitions, and I explained it in detail in that post why I think that definition is inadequate. I think it's a fine definition for many purposes, but it's not the purpose. It's not the definition that people use. When you look at the definition of a word, you don't look at what you want it to be. You look at how it's used. I had to come to terms with this with the word literally, which has a new definition, which is literally not literally. And in response to this, I like using the word figuratively now to mean literally. And in that context, people can understand that what I mean is literally, even though I'm saying figuratively. Like, I figuratively ate all the cookies, and then they go look and there's no more cookies, and they're like, you ate all of the cookies. And I was like, I said that I figuratively ate all the cookies. And they're like, oh, you're being you. And it's like, yes, of course I'm being me. You use the word literally on me to mean not literally, and I'm attacking you back with words. So, woman. Sorry for that aside. We're back to what is a woman and why I don't think that definition works. And the main reason is because when people talk about what a woman is, they're talking about semantics and not talking about the practical use of the word. Now, I understand that the Radfems have a bone to pick with this word, and I totally acknowledge all their points on this. Women, that is to say adult females, have been oppressed historically and today for nothing more than their sex, their ability to bear children. And patriarchy is pervasive, that is. Patriarchy is pervasive. I totally buy the point. I understand it. Okay? I'm not arguing against that. What I am arguing is that if you're doing this to attack trans women, okay, by asking what a woman is, you should be asking normal people what they think a woman is. And that is how they use the word. Don't actually ask them that, because they don't think at all. Like, they never think. People never think. Most people go their whole lives without thinking one thought, okay? They are just automatons for the most part, at least as they operate in society. In private, they might have their own thoughts, but in society, they're so bound by the rules that they never think, okay? So they just say whatever comes to their head, or whatever that's been put in their head. But how they use the word is very complex. It's based on tons of heuristics, facial structure, hair length, clothing items, coloration of skin and softness of skin, the kind of apparel people wear, the roles people take in society. All of these things influence whether or not someone says they are a woman or not. I mean, whether someone says that this person that they're looking at is a woman or not. Whether they use he pronouns or she pronouns. Now, I do not like this. I'm not arguing for this. This is not my position. But it is the position of the vast majority. So if you're asking what a woman is, you have to look at it in that context. You may want to change the definition, but there's no arguing with it. It's just the way it is. So any simple definition does not work. There's holes in all of them. You know, XY chromosomes versus XX chromosome doesn't work because of intersex conditions. I personally don't have an intersex condition. I'm not saying I do, but I know people who do. The presence of the SRY gene is not a valid definition. The presence of estrogen can be influenced by drugs, and it doesn't always work. The presence of uterus doesn't even always work, even for the rad femmes. If you are born without a uterus, you could still have the XX chromosome. You can still not have the, like, all of these things are complicated, and none of it, having a uterus, having your period, like my girlfriend, she went many years without having a period. She didn't start having a period until she started dating me. And we think that it's because she's getting extra estrogen from making out with me. True story, that's what we think. It's the only thing that really makes sense, because when I take the pills underneath my tongue, you know, there's still estrogen there. So, you know, she's a natal woman. She just hasn't had her period in 10 years or whatever. And I know women who are born without uterus or with other problems, without ovaries. Like, these things happen, and none of it influences whether or not someone on the street treats that person, harasses that person, subjects that person to pain, based on those things. It's based on gender expression, right? And your gender expression is not necessarily like the same as what you are, even if you think it is. Because have you gotten a genetic test? Have you actually looked at your genes? Who knows what kind of conditions most people have? These things can go undetected for decades. There are plenty of women who just can't have children. They don't know why, and turns out they're missing something, and that's horrible. And it's awful that we don't know this stuff earlier, and we can't prepare people for this until they're married and been trying to have kids for 6 years, and oh shocker, you don't actually have ovaries or something like that. That's awful. But yeah, things just aren't as simple as the rad femme general arguments go, and so that's where my problem is. Anyway, this conversation has taken a turn. Anyway, this has been fun. So I don't know if this is going to make any sense in a video, but this is what was on my mind. So yeah, capitalism sucks. Can we agree that capitalism makes everyone slaves in society? And what is my culture? I don't know. Tell me what you think my culture is, or tell me I'm retarded. I don't know. It's all very complicated. Anyway, talk to y'all later. This has been Jalae. These birds are loud.